Okay, so that's our job. Now the question is, what am I going to do? I'm going to tell you what the theory is. I'm going to tell you what it looks like, what we do to make the calculation, just what the thing is, because otherwise, how are you going to understand what world picture, in other words, this thing is? And it is a world picture because it describes all the phenomena, except for radioactivity and gravity, in the world. It's a lot of phenomena. It's possible even, it might explain, and should explain, if everything is thoroughly understood, the laughter of the audience when you make a dumb remark. Now, if I'm going to explain this theory, the question is, are you going to understand it? Will you understand the theory? When I tell you first that the first time we really thoroughly explain it to our own physics students is when they're in the third year graduate physics, then you think the answer is going to be no. And that's correct. You will not understand. But this business about not understanding is a very serious one that we have between the scientists and an audience. And I want to work with you, because I want to tell you something. The students do not understand it either. And that's because the professor doesn't understand, which is not a joke, but a very interesting, I think. And I would like to explain it. My task, really, to explain all this, is to convince you not to turn away because it appears incomprehensible. That's what it takes 4 years of us to do to the student, is to get him so he doesn't run away because it looks crazy. The thing that's exciting about this is that nature is strange as it can be, in this sense, that the rules are so screwy you can't believe them. Nevertheless, if you follow out the consequences and see what they do, sure enough, all the ordinary phenomena that happen, you can understand. That's hard to do, because you have to know how to count big numbers and do lots of arithmetic and so forth to see how it is that these rules really explain common experience. I know sometimes I hear people coming to my lecture to say, oh, I'm going to come to your lecture although I know I'm not going to understand anything. It makes me feel bad. Or when they come up afterwards, they say, oh, I enjoyed your lecture. It was lots of fun, but I didn't understand anything you said. I really am trying to make myself clear. So I would like to discuss this with you. Will you please keep coming in spite of the fact that you don't understand it? Because I don't understand it either. And the fun of it is that it's so mysterious. Okay? That's the fun of it. So this business about understanding requires just a few words. And so I'm going to say something about the relationship, and I hope we get some of your cooperation. Sometimes you don't understand because, say, the languages, the fellow comes from America and he talks too fast. That's my fault, and I apologize. I hope it's all right. That's a kind of trivial difficulty, relatively. Next kind of not understanding is because you perhaps use new words. That's an accident that comes because I'm working technically and I use the words every day, and I forget that everybody doesn't know what they mean, and I have to be very careful. Again, my job. And then there's a kind of saying that you don't understand it, meaning I don't believe it, it's too crazy, it's the kind of thing I'm not going to accept it. The other part, well, this kind, I hope you'll come along with me. You'll have to accept it, because it's the way nature works. If you want to know the way nature works, we looked at it carefully. Look at it, that's the way it looks. You don't like it? Go somewhere else, to another universe where the rules are simpler, philosophically more pleasing, more psychologically easy. I can't help it, okay? If I'm going to tell you honestly what the world looks like to human beings who have struggled as hard as they can to understand it, I can only tell you what it looks like, and I cannot make it any simpler. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to simplify it. I'm not going to fake it. I'm not going to tell you it's something like a ball bearing on a spring. It isn't. So I'm going to tell you what it really is like, and if you don't like it, that's too bad, okay?